So, Thor Love and Thunder, aka Thor 4, which sounds much better, is coming out in just a couple of weeks. It's coming out around the 6th, 7th, 8th of July, depending on where you live. It actually comes out in the UK on the 7th of July, but there's a massive problem with this movie. What is that problem, you say? Your boy Warstu. There is no hype. No one's talking about it. It seems to me like no one freaking cares, to the point where the cast are now starting to spoil stuff that were in plot leaks, and they're ruining plot points to make this movie more interesting. Now, I'm very much looking forward to this movie. I personally feel like Thor Ragnarok is one of the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, but that's not saying a lot. So, it's a Thor-based movie. So, yo, what is freaking good, YouTube? It's your boy, Warstu here, with a video on Thor 4. So, if you are new around and make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, pop culture-based videos that we do on a daily. If you could, subscribe, turn notifications on, and comment down below, are you hyped for this movie? Is there any hype for this movie? I personally don't feel like there is any hype, but these spoilers might hype you up. Also, if you could, check us out on Instagram. We are so close to 23,000 subscribers, followers over there, and you get to see what the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice looks like. Also, check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. I've got like 5 followers over there, so that'd be much appreciated. So, Natalie Portman has essentially confirmed the cancer storyline based on an interview, which is in the plot leak. What Thor does not know is that Jane is secretly struggling with a terrible hardship, something she able to conceal so long as she wields Mjolnir. Portman was intrigued by the prospect of playing someone who is weak as she is strong, depending on her circumstances. So this pulls straight from the DMs. Okay, sorry, I try to be funny sometimes. It pulls straight from the comics. Now, this is a quote from D23 magazine. So Jane Foster has cancer in this movie, and they're pretty much confirming this, and this is not news, but it is a plot point that was in said plot. Actually, it was in pretty much every plot leak. So it does confirm the plot leaks are real to a certain degree. So if you're a comic book fan, you would know Jane is battling cancer whilst being mighty Thor. But that's a big spoiler if you're not a comic book fan. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to follow the comic book storyline one-to-one, because what would be the point of that? So also in the D23 magazine, massive coverage of spoilers for this porno Thor Love and Thunder, this time about Gorr the God Butcher, or Butcherer. I say that to trigger you guys. The kind of villain we're about to see in the sequel, from the looks of it, we have reason to be excited about Bale's role in the MCU. Gorr might turn out to be one of the greatest villains in the MCU ever. That's not really that hard, is it, lads and ladettes? Because there's only really been Loki and Thanos, which have been good villains, and that's pretty much it. So, the acting ability. Now, before we get into this article, I do want to go over something which I think is pretty obvious. So, pretty much, it's kind of a theory, but it's pretty much factually there based on what they did in Endgame. They edited out Hulk in Infinity War. They edited out Captain Marvel Brie Larson, bringing Tony Stark Iron Man's ship back. So, people have been moaning about the way Gorr looks. Now, Gorr, Necrosword, darkness, connection to Knull. Now, I believe he's going to get more deformed throughout the movie, and he'll get more dark and twisted looking. And yes, this is a plot Reddit kind of topic point, if you like, in this movie. Now, a lot of people are like, yo, Knull can't appear because Sony owns the rights to Knull. No, I don't think they do, because the contracts, Knull's quite new, and yeah, I don't think he does. So I found this on the internet. Let's hear this theory on Gorr's weapon in the comics. It was all black, Necrosword, Knull's symbiote sword, but the sword is white and not symbiote-like, and symbiote rights are with Sony, right? Wrong. I don't believe they are, or at least to my knowledge, they're not. So essentially what will happen is the Necrosword will corrupt him to killing all the gods, and obviously we all know the reason why he wants to take the gods out is the gods didn't help him, and he blames the gods for everything. Now, if we go back to the Collector, there was a reference to Hela's crown as a Necrosword. What if the possibility they were referring to Gorr's sword as one of them? Maybe, I don't know, who knows, but I do find it interesting how they're going to tackle Gorr's origin with the Necrosword without mentioning Knull or any Venom symbiote connection. Now, obviously the Venom symbiote side, that is for sure Sony, but I'm pretty sure Marvel's got the rights to Knull. I'm pretty sure they had the rights. I'm pretty sure this character was made after the negotiations for Spider-Man, but would Knull come under the Sony Spider-Man character villains? Knull's a badass. Knull goes up against Celestial. He could take out Thanos without trying. I don't think Knull would come under a Spider-Man villain, but we don't know. So also in the news, let's continue going over this very interesting article to do with the plot leak spoilers. What makes Gorr tick? Now, Taika Waititi basically is confirming the whole backstory. He's ruining the movie. Gorr's backstory involves being wronged by the gods, and a lot of his motivation is getting revenge for those wrongdoings. We really wanted to explore the idea of religion, belief, and what it means to put your faith into the higher power. And because Thor is essentially a god, what does it mean for him to represent those gods? Pretty interesting. That might not seem like a big spoiler, but having a great villain in the MCU storyline is very important. Chris Hemsworth also tackled Gorr's complexity. Gorr is not a straightforward villain. There's a real complexity to him. It's not black and white what he's doing. He has a truthful motivation, which I think makes him the most interesting kind of villain. You might not agree with how he's going about it, but you understand why he's been tipped over the edge and why he's gone down his path. It's a real challenge. One for Thor, because the set of questions Gorr's posing do hold some truth, but can he let Gorr destroy the universe in the process? That, I think, makes a great dynamic. And it's not as predictable, as straightforward as good guy versus bad guy scenario we've seen 700,000 times. Now, this all came courtesy of D23 magazine. And this kind of ruins the whole movie in a roundabout way, pretty much. They're pretty much confirming he's not a straightforward villain. Neither was Thanos. Neither was Loki. But the Eternals movies did tell us Thanos was right when he was trying to balance the universe. He was trying to stop the Celestials coming, wasn't he? Ishram. He was trying to stop Ishram. So most of the great villains in the MCU, let's be honest, there's only like two, Thanos and Loki, and it potentially looks like Gorr the God Butcher could be one of the greatest MCU villains, but I know you guys are going to be like, yo, Warstu, you're an MCU hater. No, I'm not. I just talk straightforward. I honestly think Loki and Thanos are the only great villains we had. Sure, Ultron was kind of okay. So, also in the news, let's go with some potential spoilers for the ending of the movie. In the final battle, it's been heavily rumored, and we actually see a little monologue, a little section in the final trailer, I believe, the most recent trailer, where Thor wields Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, whacking them both together to launch a powerful light blast towards Gorr, and Gorr rolls up into a symbiotic cocoon, avoiding damage from most of the lightning shot. Now, this is coming straight from the comic books, but obviously in the comic books, Thor took out Gorr eventually, but we don't know which interpretation we are getting of Gorr, do we? Are we getting Gorr with the symbiote from the Necrosword? We don't know, but if you go based on the Eternals post-credit scene, when they had the ebony sword, it really does look that way. So I honestly think this is kind of like nonsense coming out now, because the embargo of this movie lifts so close to the movie coming out. The review embargo lifts literally 3 days before the movie comes out, which tells me no, it's in this freaking movie. Test audiences, Marvel don't do public test screenings. They are generally in-house. Test audiences for Thor Love and Thunder says that Gorr is the best MCU villain. As I said, we've only had Thanos, we've only had Loki. Can he outdo Josh Brolin and Tom River freaking Hiddleston? I don't believe it, but we could very well see that. Now, let me know down below, guys. This is to confirm that no is in the movie because test audience. But let's be honest, guys. I'm pretty much the most transparent person on the Twitter sphere and the YouTube sphere and the Instagram sphere. Test audience always love the movies. Okay, maybe I was a little bit harsh. Yeah, sure. Killmonger was cool. Green Goblin was cool, but that was kind of a crossover. We wanted to see Toby versus Green Goblin, didn't we? Okay, Hela was a freaking beast. Yes, it was a beast, but great echelons. There's only realistically been Thanos and Loki, and sure, we put Hela in there. Sure, we put Killmonger there. Sure, we put freaking Warstu in there. Now, to be fair, Christian Bale is an upper echelon actor. He's obviously picked this role for a reason, so people will say his performance is gonna be freaking great, but let's be honest, Phase 4's had some pretty bad villains. Taskmaster, so much potential. Weak. WandaVision, there wasn't really a villain. It was Wanda, kind of. Doctor Strange 2 wasn't really a villain because she was just trying to get to her children. Phase 4's been all over the freaking place. It's been a hot mess. But yeah, I guess technically Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3 were a hot mess as well. But we thought it was the end after Endgame. But no, there's all these new villains. There's Gorr the God Butcherer, Knull at some point, Warstu, 11 Tribunal, Doctor Doom potentially in Black Panther 2. If you are a pop culture Marvel DC fan, you are eating good this year. So like always, guys, let them know. Did they ruin the movie by saying Gorr's origin story and telling us the cancer storyline is in the movie, which pretty much confirms the whole plot for Jane Foster at least? It's gonna have to be some kind of scenario where she has to give up being Mighty Thor and then die, and then they both make love, and then essentially Thor has to let go of Mighty Thor Jane Foster because she's got to die. Or maybe there's be some magical cure, we don't know. Or maybe Jane Foster would be Mighty Thor forever, but there's gonna have to be an emotional standpoint here, and I can see Jane Foster Thor dying for sure. And also in the news, Knull is definitely in this movie. That's why they've made him look slightly different. In the trailer, I don't care what anyone says, Knull has to be connected. You can't have Gorr and the Necrosword in a freaking movie without having Knull. Knull is coming. It's Endgame. It really is. Like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu. Check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. Thank you very much. And we'll catch you in another video very soon, guys. Catch you later.